In this video, let's take a look at the music box locations of the Jukebox and see if it could give us any hints or clues as to the locations of Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. Let's Shrek it out and let's get odd. By the way, Shrek 1 is good, Shrek 2 is pretty funny, Shrek 3 sucks. I haven't seen the fourth one. So let's quickly go through the first 14 tracks of the music box locations. We have the Prelude, the Bombing Mission, Tifa's theme, Barrett's theme, Lurking in the Darkness, Let the Battles Begin, Turk's theme, Under the Rotting Pizza, The Oppressed, Honeybee Inn, Dawn of the Slums, Fight On, The Chase, main theme of Final Fantasy VII. And here's where it gets interesting. At number 15, we have On Our Way, which if you have played the original, we know that that's the theme that plays when we reach the town of Kalm. And they did play On Our Way when we were exploring the Sector 7 slums, but it is interesting that they include On Our Way at this particular point in the music box locations. And we could potentially start with Kalm in Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. At number 16 is Good Night Until Tomorrow, which is the theme that plays when you stay overnight at an inn. And at 17 we have Farm Boy, which is the theme that plays at the Chocobo farm in the original Final Fantasy VII. Spoiler alert, but during the new ending of Final Fantasy VII Remake episode Intermission, there's a not so subtle hint of the Chocobo farm when Chocobo Bill ends up picking up our crew and taking them the rest of the way towards Kalm. So after Farm Boy, we have number 18, Electric the Chocobo, which they did play during Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1 when you end up taking the Chocobo carriage for the fast travel, but that could also potentially correlate with the original Final Fantasy VII when you use the Chocobo lure to catch a Chocobo and then you take it to cross the marshes to avoid the Midgar Zolom. So that could be a potential hint or clue or tidbit. But so here's something kind of interesting. Number 19 is Costa del Sol. So if we're taking this theory into consideration, that skips the whole Junon or Junon, the Junon sequence. I think Junon is pretty pivotal to the original Final Fantasy VII. I'm not sure why they wouldn't include it in the next part of the remake. Like, I would be okay if they skipped that whole dolphin sequence, because it would be kind of weird to try to incorporate that into the next part of the remake. But the rest of Junon is pretty huge, and I thought that sequence was pretty important to the original. So taking a look at these tracks, after the Chocobo theme, there's no tracks from Junon, there's no tracks from the cargo ship, and then we jump to Costa del Sol. I like Costa del Sol, I like the theme, and I like the location. It's kind of similar to Kalm, it's not exactly pivotal to the plot, but I would still like for them to include it. So I would think that they would include Costa del Sol in the remake part 2. So after Costa del Sol at number 20, we have Gold Saucer, which I recently made a video about. I will link to that below and up in the YouTube card. Gold Saucer is obviously a location that you have to include for Remake Part 2. It's such a fun location with a lot of potential. Next we have Cait Sith's theme, which again, just a bizarre character, but they already included a sort of cameo of Cait Sith from the Remake Part 1. They'll have to include him in Remake Part 2. Much to our chagrin. And then at 22 we have Cosmo Canyon, and Cosmo Canyon is probably my favorite theme in the game, one of my favorite locations in the game for sure. And I actually made a video way back making predictions for Remake Part 2, and I predicted that Remake Part 2 would end at Cosmo Canyon. And I got comments saying there's no way that Remake Part 2 will end at Cosmo Canyon because it's not big enough, it's not epic enough, which I understand and I get those points. I think they could make Cosmo Canyon huge, just like Gold Saucer. A lot of ample opportunity for quests and side quests, and I think having an epic ending battle with Gi Natak or G Natak would be pretty epic for the ending of Remake Part 2. I know not everyone would agree with that, but as time has shown us, you can't please everyone all of the time, but you can't please anyone any of the time. So here's what's also interesting. After Cosmo Canyon, the next two tracks are 23 Descendant of Shinobi and 24 Wutai. Now those two tracks could correspond with Yuffie's DLC. They remade the Descendant of Shinobi's track for Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. If you listen closely, they incorporate parts of the Wutai theme in that theme as well. So technically, according to the Jukebox theory, they already took care of Descendant of Shinobi and Wutai with Yuffie's DLC. So also according to the Jukebox theory, if Cosmo Canyon is the last big theme of the Jukebox tracks, then we would have Remake Part 2 ending with Cosmo Canyon. Obviously this is just a wild theory that I thought it would be a fun thing to make a video about, but definitely let me know your thoughts on this, or maybe you think there is absolutely no possibility of any possible correlation between the Jukebox tracks and the locations of Remake Part 2. I actually loved the Jukebox mechanic in Remake Part 1. I was kind of disappointed they didn't include any sort of similar feature in Yuffie's DLC, but what you gonna do? Hopefully they continue that feature in Remake Part 2 because I really liked it. Definitely let me know your thoughts on this Jukebox theory, whether you think it's possible, whether you think it's ridiculous. Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and subscribe if you like this video and you want to see more Final Fantasy VII Remake content. Stay odd and keep on playing.